Really fun little story. So my son's 9. We've been co-writing stories for Magic Kids for the last 5 years and publishing for almost 4 years. And last night we completed the production of the 25th story he and I have co-written together. And this one was a beast. It took us 3 years to get to the point where we were last night. It took us a year and a half to write it. It's going to be a graphic novel one day. It's a feature length. It's going to be somewhere between 90 minutes and 2 hours long audio story. And my poor kiddo, I mean, poor as in, he had to grow a lot through this last year. We started production last September and we finished production last night. And it was a very joyful and triumphant celebration because he is the narrator of this story called Adventure Buddies. And the story is he and I and my wife Celeste is kind of our story. We back onto 20 acres of extremely magical rainforest behind our house here. And we have 60 or 70 gnome doors, maybe more, back there that I have put into the forest. So when you walk the magical trails, you just see gnomes everywhere. And so we created this story inspired by the forest, that we find a door and we put it into an ancient stump in the back of the forest and it opens up a portal. And he and I get sucked into the portal to the magic realm where all mystical, magical, mythical creatures from all time have retreated to because humans have encroached on their territory. And we go on this epic adventure with our little friend named Nomi, and we have to retrieve the magic and bring it back to the human realm so magic can flourish again in this realm. And so it's is epic story. It is the first of 7 in the series. And so it's taken us 3 years to get to here. I would imagine it'll be 5 years from the starting point to when the graphic novel is actually available. But witnessing him go through the growing pains of taking on this enormous project, and watching his own creative resistance to having to get up to the mic and record. And by the end of it last night, there was over close to 4 hours of record time of him in the studio recording his lines that we have done for just over the last year. But I know this is the same shit that entrepreneurs go through, everybody, whether it's learning video editing or it's learning to build your website or your landing page or setting up Zapier or automations or whatever it is that we're all doing. Like he just went through an enormous school of hard knocks. And it was cool because, I pay him $10 per recording session to come in. He also get royalty split with me when the story comes out. But he also, as like over a year ago, he said he really wanted to get in the drums. And so I was like, great, here's a dangly carrot for you. I will buy you an electric drum kit when you complete the narrations for Adventure Buddies. And so he's had this dangly carrot and he's had to go through his own internal transformational process of like wanting to do it, but not wanting to do it, feeling the resistance, being frustrated, getting angry, needing to set it down for 3 months and then come back to it with a different attitude and different personality. And it's super cool. So I was just reflecting last night while the fam and I were just sitting around the fire and hanging out. I was writing some notes in my journal here, and um, I just want to apply some of the lessons that I've witnessed in him over this last year of going through this huge production cycle for this one story. Uh, and hopefully they're helpful to everybody out there that's creating things that are much, much bigger and sometimes extremely overwhelming for you. And so the first thing is big goals need little bites. And so we broke down his production time into like these little 15-minute chunks so that it didn't get to the point where he just absolutely hated it. We wanted to keep the joy and the inspiration alive. And then there were certain days where we would get up to the mic and he felt like he was forcing himself and he'd be on the verge of tears. And I'd be like, all right, buddy, this isn't the day. This is not the time that we're going to do the thing. Let's go do something more fun than this. And we'll come back to this when this feels more fun. And for some of those breaks, we took multiple months of breaks where we just set the project down and we're like, let's come back to it. We gave him plenty of opportunities to be like, do you want somebody else to narrate this who's older, who's not you? He's like, no, that doesn't feel right. And so like, great, let's just break it down into little bites. And so that kind of takes me to the next lesson here, which was if the project loses its magic, just give it some space, let it breathe. You just need to like take a step back, get some new perspective, allow yourself to fall back in love with the project, and then dive back in. And this one is like, I know this from my own personal journey of overcoming resistance again and again and again. And it's resistance breeds transformation. So, whatever the goal is that we have, whatever the thing is that we're trying to build, whatever the next lesson is we need to learn, whatever the next skill is that we have to develop, we're going to inevitably come up against resistance. Last night, sitting there, I had space. We do this thing called um, Heige, and this comes from the Danish people. Is like this time of year, the darkness, the winter. Heige is like the ultimate comfort sweet spot of like the crackling fire. The lights are dimmed. We've got books and quiet time and journals. We play some games. We'll do some reading. We'll cartoon together, and that's like our winter rhythms this time of year. It's just like really embracing the quiet, the dark, the togetherness in the living room around the fire. And so I was like last night with like 20 minutes of space before going up to bed, I was like feeling resistance and also inspiration around a new story that I'm working on about a little girl who becomes an entrepreneur. And I was like, just do it, man. Just write one paragraph. Just write one paragraph. And then obviously, what happens once you get started? One paragraph becomes like pages. And so then I got two new pages for the story, which was great. Um, and so resistance breeds transformation. If you're feeling resistance, lean into it and do the damn thing because that is your trigger for growth right there every time you feel it. Next is enjoy the journey. So that was one of the things that we tried to remind him of the whole way through is like, buddy, this is going to be amazing. When this gets out, millions of kids are going to be experiencing joy by listening to your voice tell them this incredible, magical story, which to all these kids, hearing a kid tell a story like this one is going to be so much more believable to all those kids out there in the world that are like, whoa, this kid just went on the craziest adventure I could possibly imagine. And so enjoy whatever creative journey you're on. Next is great art takes time. This is definitely one of the lessons of my entrepreneurship. It's really easy to create shit. It's easy to create something that's mediocre. It's easy to create something that ChatGPT does 90% of the heavy lifting of. But to make great art that really truly comes from the depth of who we are and is something that can stand the test of time. For example, my audio library that I produced 9 years ago, and it still generates more and more royalties every single year because it stands the test of time because of the quality of the art. When you do something that is like really great, whatever your level of great is, there's good and then there's great. And we can do good work and we can do great work. And great work takes a lot more time because we have to pay a lot more attention to the details instead of just being like, ah, this is good enough. It's like when we do great work, it takes extra time. So that's a really important lesson. And I'm so grateful, no matter what happens in the future with Magic Kids, is like this has been his upbringing, is going through the creative process again and again and again with all these stories and all the comedy videos we made. And that's pretty cool. The next is gamify the grunt work. So let's just say you got a bunch of tech shit you got to do and you don't like it. How do you gamify that? Is it bringing a delicious drink of something? Is it turning on some music you enjoy while you work? Is it giving yourself the reward of going and doing something you want to do afterwards? What is the way that you gamify it? So for him, last night after he finished, he's like, I want to go listen to an audio story in my room by myself when we're done. And he wanted to, he builds these 3D characters. And so he's like, that's what I want to do. It's like, great. That's what you can do. That's your reward once we get through this production. And it was so cool because we finished the last line and the yell of triumph he experienced when he was done, it was just like it was pure joy of like he did it. He reached the top of the freaking mountain and he was so proud of himself, which is the coolest thing, All of us need to take more time to be proud of ourselves when we climb these mountains and we get to the top, whether the top is like learning the new skill or getting the next bit of tech setup, which sucks. it's important to just like, and he was just so overjoyed. Um, Next is feel the frustration when it bubbles up. So, uh, building shit it's frustrating. It's hard. It's just not it's not easy. It's not easy work what we're doing. And so when you feel the frustration, like go through the emotional process, let it flow, and yeah, it's an important part. Next, patience is a practice. So I had to practice patience with him because I was like, come on, dude, this isn't that hard. Like, we're just going and talking into a mic for 15 minutes at a time, repeat what I say. But honestly, it's such a practice for all of us to be patient with ourselves, be patient with our teammates, be patient with how long it actually takes to do something. And it's just like that is one of the practices. And when we can practice patience, I notice inside of my own nervous system, my anxiety levels go down, my enjoyment levels rise up. It's like, oh, this is all I have to do in this moment in time. Great. Then I'll be patient. And if it takes a little bit extra time, that's okay. I'm up for it. And then the last one that I would say, and this was the one that I witnessed in him, was no matter how much resistance he came up against, and no matter how many times we set it back down and then picked it back up, is just don't give up on the dream, on the vision, on the thing that you have had bestowed within you to create in your life and in this world. And don't give up on it. And, we gave him plenty of opportunities to exit the project or pick it up in a couple years when he was ready for it. And he refused all of the opportunities to step down and wait a little while longer, let somebody else take over. And he's a different kid today. He's a completely different kid. He did the hard thing. He learned that he can do the hard things and he showed up for it fully. And I'm really excited just as a dad and a co-creator on like where this will take him next in his life. And to cultivate the discipline and the follow through to like finish a really hard thing and for the satisfaction he's going to feel when he gets to like when this story is fully produced. There's 20 something voice actors playing the characters in this one. Like it's a huge project. And so when he gets to the satisfaction of like watching this next one go off in the world and how much effort it took him to do, it's the coolest thing ever. So I wanted to share the story because I know we're all doing hard things in our life, in business or just in our own life. And I just want to take a few minutes here for you to acknowledge yourself. It could be writing, it could be in thought, because you're driving, Chris. But just take a few minutes to acknowledge some of the hard things that you've done in the last year and give yourself a reward. Figure out what your reward is going to be in the next 30 days that you're going to gift yourself for constantly showing up and persevering through all the hard things that you have done. And if it's hard for you to receive, then this is a double opportunity for you to give yourself something that you actually want, whether it's an experience or a thing, or go take yourself and buy yourself a new outfit, whatever your thing is that is your reward for getting through all the hard things. We need these reward systems inside of ourselves so that we keep moving forward and we keep growing and we keep stretching ourselves. It's good. Like rewards are nice. So gamify your life and take 3 minutes to think of like what are some of the hard things you've grown through in the last year and how are you going to reward yourself?